io direi che è giunto il momento, d'accordo? Quindi abbiamo il nostro bel contenuto da vedere qui. Vi dico, il podcast ovviamente è in inglese, ma i sottotitoli ci sono in inglese, però sono sottotitoli ufficiali, cioè non sono sottotitoli automatici. Quindi se io traduco dall'inglese all'italiano con la traduzione automatica i sottotitoli, però dovremmo avere un risultato abbastanza buonetto. Ok? Tommy, benvenuto in chat per la prima volta. Buonasera a te, ti ho conosciuto su TikTok, sei molto bravo, complimenti. Grazie mille, benvenuto anche qui. Quindi, ragazzi, questo è Official Xbox Podcast, è proprio sul canale di Xbox, questo podcast qui, e lo potete recuperare anche voi ovviamente, ma volevo vederlo insieme a voi, quindi in questo momento caliamo la musica di background, apriamo quest'altro audio, mettiamoci le cuffie, azzeriamo quest'altro volume e direi che possiamo andare su questa schermata qui. Uscite le recensioni di City Skyline 2? Oh, bene, che così leggo. E sono proprio curioso di vedere che cosa dicono il comparto tecnico, dato che l'azienda ha messo le mani avanti su questo. Dura fino a mezzanotte? No, dura 40 minuti il podcast. Quindi diciamo che c'è tempo. Anche per discutere dopo aver visto questo podcast. Quindi, ragazzi, eccoci qua. Phil Spencer on Activision Blizzard King plus Xbox. È Official Xbox Podcast con sottotitoli in italiano. Di nuovo, ragazzi, è una traduzione automatica, ma è una traduzione automatica dai sottotitoli, diciamo, in inglese fatti bene, quindi dovrebbe essere decente. Sottotitoli automatici YouTube potrebbero migliorarli, lo penso anch'io, ma penso che succederà. YouTube da questo punto di vista si sta muovendo, anche con alcuni creator hanno le tracce audio che possono fare in maniera alternativa. Ne ho già visto qualcuno. Io non vedo l'ora, ragazzi, perché sapete che significa per il mio canale, no? Che posso praticamente fare un format delle news internazionale. Che figata. Ok. Pochi parlano di cali pesanti fermeriti quando però si arriva alla città di medie dimensioni, vediamo il 24. Già. Vai.
Games in this podcast range from E to M.
Hello and welcome to the official Xbox podcast, the only podcast coming to you from literally inside Xbox. And we are indeed back inside Xbox as we return to the studio, where it's great to see my fellow co-hosts Malik and Tina and hi Phil.
Not a co-host.
Phil's here.
It feels like we're inside of an Xbox.
We are.
I thought
We're
that's
talking
what.
about
Yes.
that, yeah.
How cool would that be?
This is what it
Like,
is.
in a console, we can
We'll
do
work
this.
on it. We'll work on the
right?
set.
You
Yeah.
control the sets.
You notice how he sits up a little bit when he starts? I love that.
Oh,
He's
it's all
excited.
posture,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
We got a
good.
special guest here.
So I'll slouch
You.
the rest of the day on my laptop. So, and you may notice we're posting a little bit earlier this week. You may also notice that the CEO of gaming at Microsoft, Phil Spencer, is sitting right here next to us because this is no ordinary week. So whether you're watching us on youtube.com/Xbox, listening to us on Apple or Google Podcasts, or you can actually do both on Spotify, thank you for joining the official Xbox podcast at what is a very special time for gamers, and to be honest, for us as well. In case you missed it, late last week, Activision Blizzard and all of their teams formally joined Team Xbox. It is a huge deal. What is it going to mean for all of you players out there? That's why we've got Phil here. We're going straight to the source. I'm pleased to welcome you here to the show, but also as Team Xbox, we are really pleased to welcome all the folks from Activision, Blizzard, and King to Team Xbox.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been.
Allora, di nuovo puntualizzazione perché non so se tutti l'hanno capito. Questo è un podcast ufficiale di Xbox. Non è una roba di cui Phil Spencer è stato ospite, cioè un podcast di terze parti con ospite Phil Spencer. Questo è proprio un podcast ufficiale Xbox, quindi i contenuti sono sul canale di Xbox. Ok? Ciao Marcotto, ben trovati. Perciò dobbiamo vederlo come di fatto contenuto di approfondimento, ma questo è sul canale dell'azienda, quindi di fatto è anche contenuto promozionale, d'accordo? Quindi consideratelo come tale, un po' come il documentario che fecero, no? Bello, Ma ovviamente è materiale promozionale anche quello.
And how should we say, it's been a long journey. I loved in our video, our announced video, there was the line about it's been about time. It has been a long journey, but to those teams, because I mean, they've had to sit kind of in an uncertain state, watching a lot of the news, like a lot of our own teams. It's just awesome to have the creative capability and energy of Activision Blizzard King part of our Xbox team, what we're trying to go do. The reason I'm flying to Stockholm today to go see the King teams. I'm excited about that. Next week, I'll be down in Southern California to see the Activision
La miniera d'oro.
Blizzard teams. I want to go in. I want to listen. I want to learn. I
Tabaldox.
want to hear what they're passionate about. Their feedback, their
Starcraft.
energy. It's a big moment. It's a big moment for us.
Temo
A
che
lot of
dovremo aspettare un
opportunity,
sacco
and I'm incredibly
eventualmente
excited by it all.
per
So
Starcraft.
welcome to the team.
Ma veramente
Congrats
un sacco.
on the kind of refresh on the podcast. It's awesome to
Thank
see.
you.
I don't think refresh is probably the official word you use, but I love the relaunch. I think the energy you're bringing to the show. This is episode 5.
Five, yeah.
I came in thinking it was 4, but you corrected me.
You were close.
I was close, but it's awesome. You guys have done a great job.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Very
Yeah.
kind.
Well,
very
extra
kind.
special now that we've got you here. So
Yeah.
thank you for the vote of confidence in multiple ways.
And this is what we want. We want this fourth chair here to be taken up by folks who work here, other devs that come into town.
Now this chair has a name by you. What do you
Percepisci
call this?
effervescenza?
This is
We're
the
not
first-
talking about
actually,
that in
yeah,
public.
The cheese couch.
The
So
cheese
You're
couch?
breaking
He
into
hates the
cheese
couch. I love the couch.
I feel like
I
it's
think
more
it's
mustard.
comfortable.
I think it's
more mustard,
comfortable.
you know?
Mustard,
Yeah.
and I like mustard.
I like
Yeah.
mustard,
Mustard,
but that is, you put that on a cheesesteak. You just like wipe it on
Cheese
the
is
on the
good.
cushion
Mustard's
right there.
good. I don't know what the
Yeah.
problem
I don't have a
is.
problem with it. I just don't want to sit on it.
This
but-
is team
Well, that's
cheese
why
over
we
here.
changed
Okay, all right,
seats.
all right. Well, I'll tell you what, from now on, you sit here.
Perfect.
I'm
Che
here to
burloni.
control
I will give the
creation.
couch love.
So, noticing the hoodie here, were you at the Halo World Championships this
Yeah,
weekend?
I went last night. I was in Seattle, so I went over. I didn't get to stay to the end, but congrats to FaZe. FaZe beat Optic. We almost had a repeat champion, but we didn't. It was a reset. So then, if people don't know, you kind of come up from the losers bracket. If you win, then there's another match between the final two teams. So it went, and that's the reset. Went again, and it was awesome. It was sold out. Seeing the community there, I try to go every year when they do it in Seattle at the
Chissà, Alo.
the Washington Convention
Halo
Center.
Infinite.
But the
Non ho
fans
più
were there,
monitorato.
all the vendors, and there were some great charitable causes in the back. It was a
So
fun,
che non
fun
era
event.
esattamente
There's a
uno
lot more
stato
than just the esports
fantastico.
stuff, too.
È
We
cambiato
had Brian
qualcosa che voi
Gerard on
sappiate,
last week.
ragazzi?
It's all about
Com'è adesso?
season
Qualcuno lo
5,
sa?
and I know
Firefight.
they've revealed more. Yeah,
Effervescenza sono
Firefight,
stati
Hill.
tutti miliardi spesi?
Yes, but like I want the date. They keep
Nel
giving
senso-
me. It's like soon. And I'm going over to Pierre. It's like, what is soon? I
Sono
wanna play
contenti che sia
Firefight
finita la telenovela
sooner.
probabilmente un bel
Like
po'.
now, but it's not now.
That feels like a command.
No, you know me. I don't have any commands.
When it's ready. When
But
it's ready.
no, season 5 looked awesome. They had a bunch of stations in the back where people got to play
Yeah.
the season 5 content during the HCS. So it was good.
ok,
I'm always proud
stagione
of,
5.
Elizabeth and Pierre and the whole team that puts all. There's a ton of people.
Ripreso
who
ora
put
con la
all that on.
stagione 5 appena uscita.
And
Ok.
it's great. It's
Okay.
great to have it here. And our studio team gets to go. And there's always such an energy, I think, when the people who are working on the game get to go see an event. You know, I'm lucky enough to get to go to a ton of events and feel that energy. You've all been. But when a team who's spent so many years working on a game does the work and gets to go and feel it in the arena, I think that's special. In season 5, I think we've been through a journey with Infinite, but I think season 5, it feels like the energy is as positive as it's been in a long time with Infinite. And that's awesome.
In the comments last week when we had Brian on the show, everyone in the comments like, they're talking about Halo again. Like, people are in 100%. So it's so exciting to see that.
Penso che si
on top of
percepisce,
World
nonostante i miliardi di spesi, che Fuori vuole
Just,
riuscire a fare
bring
qualcosa
everyone
ancora più
together,
grande.
get everyone
È bello,
excited again.
spero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Forge
No, dopo
AI,
questa
that's gonna bring a ton
telenovela e
more
tutti questi
content to
soldi
the game,
spesi,
and, as
ora
someone who's
dovrebbe
not
essere
gonna
un
use
buon
it, but is
momento.
going to consume what is made from
Ed
it,
è
I'm
una
very
delle cose che
excited to
dobbiamo
see
vedere,
what-
oltretutto.
You know, I was
Cioè,
talking
nel
to the
senso,
team about
cosa
the
dirà
Forge
adesso?
tools, and they were the community always takes our creative tools, whether it's in Minecraft, which I think we'll talk about in a second, in Halo, even things like Flight Sim and the creator tools that are there, the mod tools in our Bethesda games.
Scusate se faccio una piccolissima pausa. Ora che ci penso, nel senso, già ve lo dico, indipendentemente dai temi trattati questa sera, cioè, parlando sicuramente di Activision Blizzard Game, però è una bella cosa fare questo podcast così. Lo fanno anche altre aziende? Vabbè, a parte i vari contenuti tipo dei veri studi di sviluppo. Io parlo proprio di aziende, nel senso, questa è di Xbox, no? C'è uno di Sony, non mi pare che Sony e Nintendo abbiano qualcosa del genere. Nintendo quasi sicuramente no, ma mi pare neanche Sony. Dovrebbe essere una buona idea fare qualcosa del genere, in effetti. Però vabbè, staremo a vedere, che io sappia no. E infatti, no, ci stavo pensando, ma non mi viene in mente. Vabbè, comunque, andiamo avanti.
But I know the team with the Forge AI stuff, they think
Dovrebbero
there's gonna
però,
be
secondo me.
completely new genres that are
Mhm.
built on top of Halo inside of the Forge tools. I can't wait. I used to love going in and playing Duck Hunt. If you ever did that in the old Forge tools, people had actually built a Duck Hunt.
Like actual, like the old
Yeah,
school.
you would play. There was a guy across with a snipe, and then you kind of had this like S that you had to go up. So you'd start off, I'm going to guess, like 15 of us as Spartans. You're like, okay, does he see us? And then you all run and you get taken down, and the goal was to get to them. It was a lot of fun, but like it's just the stuff that the community does. Gaming is about the community, so when we put creative tools in their hands and see what they create, I just think it makes the games more than just ours. It becomes the community's games.
What was really awesome, and I don't, we'll move on, but I asked, hey, is there like a pathway from creating content in Forge to working here? And the person I was talking with, yeah, that's me actually. I started
Yeah.
off making content in Forge.
That's right. And one of the maps that I saw, it's more than one, but one of the maps I specifically remembered last night was actually created by us, but in Forge. So you can, and that was in the championship. So when our own teams are using our community
Tu li mandi alla
tools
community,
to create
prima cosa
content,
appeni,
you know
poi
you're
il
using the
resto.
same things
Sono
that the
d'accordo, è vero.
professionals are using.
Passati
So
i
then it's
peni,
just creating
poi
content
arrivano
that
cose
people
belle.
love. And then through some of our places, we've actually been able to create a marketplace where creators can actually build a business, creating that content and selling to the community, which is fantastic as well.
So Halo World Championships this weekend. Also this weekend, Minecraft Live. Tina, you
Oh,
were
yeah.
really close to that.
Yes, yeah. The Xbox broadcast team produced that show in partnership with
Yeah.
Mojang. Another super creator-forward game. So it's been a really good weekend for Xbox overall. And it was a really cool spin on how we normally record that show. We actually did in full extended reality here at the Xbox studio where we're
Yeah, it was
filming the
right
podcast out of.
downstairs,
Right
right?
downstairs, yeah, Studio One. It was really fun because we got to take the actual worlds of Minecraft and put the developers and our host
Questa è una
Lily and
cosa
Boo into those worlds.
che un
and kind of
giorno
interact. We had a
spero
really
tanto di
cool
fare
minecart
anch'io.
journey kind of going through
In,
with a bunch of goofs.
in realtà
and It just
aumentata.
really came together
Vedete
in a
una cosa
fun
del
way
genere.
of telling the news on a yearly basis because it's our biggest beat
È
of the year
fighissimo.
It is.
for Minecraft and for Xbox and a
Ci
lot of ways, I
vuole,
might argue.
ci
But
vuole un mega
it was a really
green
nice opportunity
screen
to talk about some fun
e,
updates to vanilla. I think people are really excited about
e il modo di
auto-crafting.
creare
And
digitalmente
of
tutto.
course, we
È
revealed
veramente
the latest
figo.
mob that will be created for Minecraft, and that's the... Well, I don't know. Should I spoil it? I think everyone
Not so
knows
buonasera.
now.
Oh, I
All right,
mouthed
quick
it.
Spider-Man lo proviamo
Sorry.
a mezzanotte.
It's the
We'll have to block.
armadillo.
Armadillo's
There it
one.
is. There it is.
Yeah, so it's always a fun new tradition for the team to be able to invite the community in to help decide what's going into the game in a lot of ways, including the mob.
Well, you can go back in time. You can watch that on, actually, all of that is going to be archived on YouTube, both the World Championships and Minecraft Live. But the reason, as much as we'd love to continue talking about that with you, Phil, also the big deal has closed on Friday. And I'm seeing a lot of headlines, a lot of YouTubers saying things like, it's done. And we were talking earlier, this isn't the end. This is really the beginning with Xbox and Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, I think the regulatory process, let's just say it took so long that it almost felt like the game or the kind of goal itself was to get through the regulatory process. That's just the beginning.
Ma non è la telenovela Activision Blizzard, forse Activision Blizzard stesso? No? Non è il processo di approvazione dell'acquisizione, un po' forse l'acquisizione stessa? È quello che stai dicendo, davvero? Vabbè. Mannaggia la miseria.
In fact, this evening I'm flying to Stockholm to see the King team. It's a team I don't know that well, so I'm really excited.
Sì,
to go see them. I
filosofia
think we're in Stockholm and then London.
dell'acquisizione, sì.
They have a couple other locations. I don't know that we're going to
Un
make to all the
autocarro di soldi,
locations, but
già.
I'm really excited about
Master.
seeing the teams. The following week, I'm going down to Southern California, I'll go
Karma.
to Blizzard, I'll go see
Un po' ingrassatello
Activision.
il buon Phil, però
And to
vabbè,
me, when I think about where we're trying to go, it always
anche
starts
qualche
with the
capello
teams,
bianco in più.
right? The teams have to feel motivated. They have to feel inspired. They have to feel safe. They have to feel heard. And because their passion, their commitment to the things that they build, the way they run their games, that comes from the culture of who they are. I've said it many times. I think teams ship their culture in everything they do, whether it's implicit or explicit. You can kind of feel the dynamic on a team and the creative output, whether it's a band, whether it's a writer, whatever. So spending time with the teams and getting to hear from them where they're going. I have some of my own opinions, of course, but they're just opinions. This is getting time with the teams, thinking about where we're trying to go, then looking at the games and where we are and where the roadmap. That's really where the work is.
I capelli,
I'm
sì,
very,
il travaglio dell'acquisizione infinita, i capelli
And as part of
bianchi,
that
sì.
journey, obviously,
Mi
there's
aspetti
the
vedere la
big
BlizzCon?
burning question that everybody would
Assolutamente.
like to know, and you mentioned it in your Xbox
Figuriamoci se
Wire
si perde
post.
questa occasione.
That's what people want to know.
I think that's what you want to know.
Might be one of my questions. Might
Yes,
be.
but that is part of it. But it's also, and you wrote in your Xbox Wire post last week as well, that the work has started on bringing Activision Blizzard King games to Game Pass and other platforms. And I think like speculation and wish lists have been running wild
Yeah,
ever since
yeah.
last week. So I'm sure you've seen all of that. But what does that mean exactly, especially when we think about our last acquisition in 2021 with Bethesda? There was a fairly immediate drop of
There
back
was.
catalog games. So I think people are looking to that and wondering, is that kind of how the format is going to go
Yeah.
now, or what does that actually look
And I
like?
think rightfully so, right? When we finished Bethesda, there was this great moment. We were able to put a bunch of the back catalog games in, celebrate their history. The truth of the matter is, with Activision Blizzard King, that the regulatory process took so long, and frankly, there was a lot of uncertainty in that process up until really a week before we closed, or the week of, when the CMA finally came down to their decision, that we weren't able to get in and work with it's mostly Activision and Blizzard in this case, on that back catalog work. So now that the deal is closed, we're starting that work, but
Ok,
there is work.
ok, e questa ne avevamo già parlato nelle news, perché si tratta proprio di un'informazione che è venuta da qui. Ora che però l'abbiamo sentito con le nostre orecchie, mi viene da dire che è ancora più così come pensavamo. Nel senso, a quanto pare, a differenza di quello che è successo con Bethesda, qui, con tutto il casino della telenovela, veramente non sono riusciti a fare un piffero fino a quando non è stato dato l'ok definitivo, anche perché, mi è venuto adesso in mente, erano sotto osservazione. Quindi non è che durante un processo regolatorio, che oltretutto è stato piuttosto accidentato, no? L'abbiamo visto assolutamente. Tu puoi andare lì dentro Activision Blizzard e dire vabbè, tanto alla fine riesce, no? Cominciamo a lavorare insieme a cose. È una di quelle cose, le antitrust, soprattutto quelle un po' più, diciamo, motivate ideologicamente, è una cosa che avrebbero notato e che non avrebbero fatto passare probabilmente, no? Ecco, in sostanza, ragazzi, qui abbiamo una conferma, cioè che dobbiamo aspettare ancora un bel po', perché ora che la telenovela è finita e solo ora stanno cominciando veramente a lavorare con Activision, Blizzard e King, e quindi oltre che il lavoro è slittato, assai, sì, ma anche più di quanto pensassi, ma proprio del tutto. Nel senso che non hanno potuto fare un piffero di niente fino a quando non è arrivata la decisione del CMA. Hanno pubblicato il trailer, che quello sì ce l'avevano pronto. Però ecco, l'unica cosa che avevano pronto di lavoro, a quanto pare, è il trailer che hanno pubblicato. Il resto è ancora tutto in forza. Ragazzi, qua è lunga forte. E altro che 2024. Nel senso, qua è 2024 se va bene. Per tutti quanti i giochi e per tutte le prospettive. Qua è lunga forte. Prima di vedere un'integrazione veramente profonda, secondo me, un paio d'anni. Mo io ve lo dico. Su due piedi è la mia sensazione. Prima di avere veramente una forte integrazione, minimo un paio d'anni. Non mi è di nascosto, qualcosa l'hanno fatta. Lo pensavo anch'io, ma qui c'è Phil Spencer che ha detto chiaramente che no, ma anche perché erano sotto l'occhio attento delle antitrust. E quindi, da quello che ho dedotto io, non la puoi proprio fare, nel senso era proprio meglio non metterci piede del tutto dentro Activision Blizzard prima della fine naturale delle cose. Tradotto, di nuovo, sì, mi sa tanto che qua c'è da attendere, ragazzi. Ciao Brabus. Però portano l'uovo su console, anche io. Però avete presente tutte le cose di cui devono discutere? Temo che questa qua arriverà fra altro che 2 anni. Già.
And I know, I think the Activision Twitter handle or X handle, whatever we're calling it, did
You don't
put
have to
out a
call it
statement.
that.
I can't call it X, but Twitter handle did put out something that talked about 2024. I think that's accurate. There's no. I would love it if there was some kind of secret celebration
Ciao
drop
Davide.
that's coming in the next couple of weeks. There's not.
Che è successo? Niente, stiamo
Definitely
vedendo
when we
un
think about
podcast
the new
con Phil
games that
Spencer.
are there. I would be straight with people, right? If we were going to put them in the subscription this year, I would tell people, and I know there'll be some disappointment about that. This acquisition is definitely long-term. So the fact that we're not hitting day one with a bunch of games dropping in to Game Pass is a little bit of a downer, but I'm very excited about the future. And I just want to be straight with people that that's where we are.
Ok, l'abbiamo sentito anche assolutamente al 100%. Un cazzo di niente di giochi all'interno del Game Pass nel 2024. Il nulla. All'interno del 2023, fino alla fine del 2023, non ci sarà niente. Quindi sì, 2024 per forza. Già lo sapevamo, nel senso già girava questa informazione, ma qui è come quando ti avvicini alla data di esame e poi esordisci in tutto questo tempo, ho preparato niente. No, è un po' diversa, temo la cosa qui. E questo sarà comunque un discreto svantaggio per Microsoft. È un po', infatti lo stava dicendo Phil Spencer, nel senso che sarà una mezza delusioncina per chi si aspettava qualcosa in tempi brevi. Sì. E poi con Microsoft che questi soldi comunque l'ha spesi, diciamo che può accedere a tutto questo ben di Dio più tardi di quanto avrebbe voluto probabilmente, però che bisogna fare, i tempi sono così. Ragazzi, Spider-Man 2 è a mezzanotte.
There you go, addressing the rumors. Now let's talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 coming out next month. Very excited. I played the beta over the weekend.
The open beta, what did you think?
It's very interesting getting humbled by your reaction time going down every single year.
Okay, young man.
It's very clear that
I count my reaction time in like tens of seconds now.
Well, people are getting really good at the game, but to that point, like people are really excited about it. And I think for players who may not be playing on Xbox, they want to know, what does this mean for them on their platform? Like, is Xbox going to see exclusive DLC, early release, things like that? So what can you tell players who are looking to play Call of Duty?
When we say
no,
other platforms, I think we're
FTC
talking about PlayStation.
Yeah, I think
that other one.
Praticamente una formalità
I think
ormai.
the PC players,
Noiosa? No, vabbè, carino.
their PC is unique, and I want it to feel like it's part of the overall gaming platform that Xbox focuses on. We've been on that journey for a while with our first party and our Xbox app on PC. There's a lot of work for us to continue to do there.
Decisamente.
For Call of Duty players,
l'app
on
Xbox su
PlayStation
PC decisamente ha
and in
bisogno
the
di
future
lavoro.
on Nintendo, I want you to feel.
Avete sentito? In the future on Nintendo? Quindi ha assolutamente confermato che non erano, diciamo, fanfaronate. Ci sarà tutta questa roba anche su Nintendo. Beh, dopo tutto hanno firmato un accordo. Quindi, sì.
Feel 100% part of the community. I don't want you to feel like there's content you're missing out, there's skins you're missing out, there's timing that you're missing out on. That's not the goal. The goal is 100% parity across all platforms as much as we can for launching content. I say as much as we can on parity because clearly some platforms have resolution and frame rate differences just based on perf. But there's nothing else. Like we have no goal of somehow trying to use Call of Duty to get you to buy an Xbox console. So it is, I want the Call of Duty Nation to feel supported across all platforms. We've been on the other side of some of those skins and times, even this beta, like it wasn't on Xbox the first week. Like I don't think that helps the community. I don't think that helps the game. And so it's the focus. If you're a PlayStation player, you're a Nintendo player, PC player, or an Xbox console player, I want you to feel like 100% part of the Call of Duty Nation.
Ok, di nuovo. sono contenuti che arriveranno al 100% ovunque nello stesso modo. Ne avevamo parlato anche nelle news, no? Quindi vabbè, penso che ve l'aspettiate che non ci saranno più dei contenuti esclusivi per PlayStation per Call of Duty, no? Ci mancherebbe altro, probabilmente. E di un po' di questo sono contento, devo dirvi la verità. Le beta esclusive non è che non mi sono mai piaciute per nessuna piattaforma. Quindi posso capire se si trattasse di una questione prettamente di condizioni tecniche. Ci sta tipo, tanto il gioco non può arrivare su Switch per dire al momento e quindi ovviamente non si può fare niente, ok, ma tutte le varie piattaforme è effettivamente bene che esca tutto quanto in maniera lineare, no? Che ci tiene con Nintendo? Venderebbe tanto, Nintendo abbia nulla da dare in cambio? Non gli serve. Non credo che serva. Nintendo ha semplicemente detto di sì. Microsoft ha fatto questo per togliersi gli antitrust di torno. E Nintendo ha detto, ok.
Bring it back a Guitar Hero, or Tony Hawk, or would you have, Infinity Ward work on this Xbox IP?
Call of Duty, cade acquisizione di Activision, mentre immagini illusionisti di Star facendo vedere la mano di dietro di frega la panna. Sai com'è? Questa è una di quelle cose che verificheremo molto presto.
Friday, so you have 9 studios. There's a wealth of IP from Activision. Like, how are you thinking about these new teams, these new franchises, or new to us franchises? Like, how do you even take all of that in?
Yeah, the first thing, as I kind of mentioned before, is to go spend time with the teams. Because I just don't think that a team working on something that isn't their passion leads to the best result. So I might have my list of things from my memories and history that I want to see made again. Everybody will, right? When I just think about, not just about Activision Blizzard
se non la mettevano del tutto era meglio.
You add in Xbox's history, Rare, like the amount of franchises that we now have in our portfolio it's kind of inspiring. It's daunting. I feel that we have to be a great custodian for the content that we touch. These are memories from people on different platforms, different decades. And I want to make sure that when we're going back and visiting something, that we do it with our complete ability, a motivated team that wants to go work on something and make a difference, not just create something for financial gain or create something for a PR announcement and not deliver on the price. So I'm going to start with the teams and what are they passionate about.
Questa è un'altra cosa interessante, anche se sa molto di messaggio, diciamo, molto aziendale, però in sostanza ha appena detto, ok, tutti i vari ora siamo custodi di un sacco di roba, veramente un sacco di franchise. E quindi diciamo che ha detto, li tratteremo con rispetto, i vari franchise. Mo vediamo se veramente succederà. Ok, quindi...
That's why I'm excited to go on these visits. And then we'll look at it. I think we've done an okay job as Xbox. I don't think we've done
ma per Nintendo io mi aspetto che tutto quanto avverrà sulla nuova console, non su questa.
It's always a trade-off between what you do that's new and going back and doing something.
Soprattutto per COD.
Pass, we have the ability to maybe
per gli altri,
pick a couple franchises every year and almost do like a revisited. I just made up that term. So
Diablo su Switch.
It's not on a box.
It's not on a box.
Devono pure trovare un modo di portarci.
I tease about things like Hexen just because I remember playing it as a kid. I have no plan for that. But I do think when you look across all of the
questa cosa mi sembra in prospettiva per Switch 2. Pure secondo me.
There's an opportunity for us to go back, even if it's just to recognize the moment and what those things meant in gaming's history and do something right with it, make it available to people through Game Pass. I think there's an opportunity. There's not a plan for that, but there's an opportunity. If teams want to go back and revisit some of the things that we have and do kind of a full focus on it, I'm going to be all in on that because I think there's just an amazing trove of things that we can go and touch again. It doesn't have to just be about Activision and Blizzard. Like I said, when you look across all the portfolio,
Piano B e C ne avranno.
Quake 2 Remastered just came out from it. I thought that was awesome, right? They did a real good job revisiting a game, making it current,
la remaster di Quake è carina,
so I'd love to see
se non l'avete provata fatela.
So you mentioned the
Diablo
trove
su
of
Switch, tutti quei
content, the
nemici
treasure
prende fuoco.
trove,
Vabbè,
and you've
c'è
mentioned
molto di
Hexen.
peggio. Credo sia gestibile.
I think so. It fits. But
Xcloud
are
su
there,
Switch,
you know, Hexen's maybe a deep
quello
cut
è
for
tutto un
some
altro
because
discorso.
it's a shooter from the 90s,
Quello è
and we
proprio un
obviously have a
abbonamento.
very wide-ranging community. Are there any other games or franchises, just for you personally, deep in the vault that we can now potentially explore that you're just personally excited for people to discover for the first time or maybe rediscover?
I hadn't really thought about that question. Specific on Activision and Blizzard, you know, there's some moments in Activision's history. You mentioned Tony Hawk, you mentioned Guitar Hero, even things like Skylanders, or that were moments where the teams kind of innovated outside of expectation. What do you mean? I'm going to carry a plastic guitar and plug it into my console and play? Like, that's never going to work until it worked. And then everybody said, well, of course that was going to work. You know, Skylanders kind of the same way. For me personally, though, when I think about the franchises, I kind of go back to things like some of the old Infocom things that were, like you just asked for me personally, part of my youth, the Text Adventure Zork, those kind of things. I think about King's Quest. I thought they did a really nice job. But like those,
Oh, minchia.
the Sierra catalog, the Infocom catalog, just because of my age, like those things speak to me because they were moments in my gaming career, my gaming kind of experience that really meant something. And I love those. When you think about Blizzard and all these things that they've done, like amazing franchise, StarCraft, like it was in the video that the teams did, which I know there's been some discussion about should we have done a video for an acquisition or not, but there's just some amazing franchises in there. Most important is that we treat them with respect.
Phil Spencer nomina StarCraft un po' troppe volte. Non trovate?
100%. By the way, I almost cried at that video. That was a cool video that we put out on
Interessante.
Friday. So, come on, everybody.
Molto
I like the video. I like the video. I saw some people.
I thought it was awesome. But so we've been talking about, obviously we've been doing the show for a few weeks now. We've been talking about Diablo, Overwatch, all these awesome games that Activision and Blizzard both work on. But we talk about ABK. The K stands for King.
Yeah.
And that's definitely mobile gaming focused. And so how are you thinking about mobile gaming as it pertains to Xbox?
My goal as head of Xbox is, I've been here over 20 years. I want Xbox to be a great brand, a great community for people over the next decades to come. So when I've thought about that, of what do we need to have in our portfolio,
Voglio citare su PC.
to ensure 30 years from now Xbox is
Non sarebbe
bigger
male,
and
no?
stronger than it is today.
E probabilmente arriverà.
There's just no way to really plot
Quello
the
è
future
molto,
without being
anzi è
on the
probabile.
platform that most of the planet plays on. The games are different, the business models are different, the whole dynamic of how you distribute, how you find games is different. So when I was looking at that, I needed to find a team that's had amazing success for us to learn from. So literally, Amy Hood, who's the CFO of Microsoft, and I went through a list of who are the most accomplished publishers in the mobile space. And most people wouldn't have expected, I think, I didn't, that Activision would have been as
La
high
lista
with the
della
King
spesa,
work, as well as the
la
Call of
lista
Duty
di
mobile work,
obiettivi.
Warzone stuff that they've
Va
been
bene.
doing, Diablo
Quali sono
Immortal.
quelli migliori su mobile?
And
Ok.
so I want to go learn from those
Comprali.
teams. Because I think it's critical for us to deliver on the full promise of over 3
CTR
billion
Crash Team
people
Racing, sì.
playing, the opportunity to reach more of 3 billion people playing video games, to reach more
Gran
and more
bella cosa
people,
se arrivasse.
that people who only play on their phone find Xbox to be something that's interesting.
No, mi pare ci
for
sia su
them.
PC
It doesn't mean I
CTR.
want to turn
No?
all of our franchises into mobile
Correggetemi se
franchises.
sbaglio,
It doesn't mean
ragazzi.
everything's going to go free to play. I think the distribution and business model kind of diversity that we have
Diablo
is a strength
non è
of the
come Diablo
platform.
4,
People who want to
Diablo
buy
Immortal.
games, I love that. People want to subscribe to their games. It's great. Free-to-play games are great as well. But I'm really looking forward to learning on mobile, because it's the truth of the matter is if you're going to continue to be relevant in gaming at a global scale, you're going to have to find a way to be relevant on the largest platform, which is mobile. So looking forward to flying and seeing King and talking to them and learning.
Yeah, like you mentioned, you're heading
Vabbè,
out to
loro
Stockholm,
diciamo che su
later
mobile un po' di
today.
successo ce l'hanno
Xbox is
avuto, e per un po'
already
di successo
a big team,
30
and now it
miliardi
is,
guadagnano.
much bigger with like we mentioned,
We
9
doubled.
years. We doubled. I don't know
kinda
where you find the
daunting.
time in the day, but how hands-on do you expect you will be with our new teammates?
Yeah, and some people here know that I'm a big consumer. of what we do. I play a lot of games. I have opinions. They're not always right. They're definitely not always right. But I've already started asking questions and giving my point of view. I'm not one that says thou must, like we have to go do this. But asking questions both to learn and to see what we're thinking about and where the ambition is. But I rely on the teams. Like I get the title, I get to come on cool podcasts and talk too much. But the work that happens here is really down to the individuals on the team. From people who are on camera 5 times in the last 5 weeks as opposed to 1 time in the last 5 weeks, the people you can't see that are behind the scenes that make sure these shows happen, the people who are the community managers for the games at places like Minecraft, places like the Forza team, and all, like it is the most important thing I can do is empower the teams.
3
An
scale in bonds,
empowered
ce
and
n'è uno
motivated
nuovo?
team that feels like they have kind of agency and ability to drive their own vision with a perspective that maybe I can help. That is if there's anything I can do in my role, it's empower the teams and make them feel safe, make them feel like failure's okay, let's go learn. And then I get out of the way. Because it's decisions that come from this head are not going to be the future of this business. It's really going to be about the now tens of thousands of people that work on Xbox.
E quindi insomma abbiamo
and what they
capito.
see, and listening to our customers.
E quindi abbiamo capito che Xbox intende mantenere più o meno la versione hands-off. Cioè, sì, nel senso, ovviamente sono presente, ne parliamo, ho suggerimenti, ma alla fine fate voi. Ok? Abbiamo capito che è ancora una priorità. Ho come l'impressione che con tutti gli studi che ci sono quasi debba essere una priorità, perché non penso che possa stare dietro a tutto. Interessante.
It's why I like moments like Minecraft Live, HCS. I got to speak with so many people at Halo last
Accordo
night.
con Meta?
Going to
Supporto al Quest 3 su Xbox.
Online, playing on Xbox
Questa è
Live
tosta.
P3 and listening to the feedback that people have. Because I want everybody who's part of Xbox, whether you're a customer or you're part of the team, to feel like you have an ability to craft where we're going, as much as I do, frankly.
Yeah, well said. And I can personally attest to that as well, at least in the ways of which my job intersects with your world, your overarching world, where we do get that opportunity and see that you give us the range and the space to kind of make decisions in a cumulative way. So thank you for that. I've appreciated that in my last year that I've been here.
Even you and I, before you came here, we would sit down when we would cross paths at events. And I always loved that you had a perspective on things that we were doing well, things that we could do better. It's why I thought you being part of the team would be awesome.
Thank you.
But it is listening to smart people who care about this industry.
Minimo controllo comunque vero per rischiare di morire i soldi senza senso. Sì, e soprattutto non possono certo dire che poi la responsabilità non è la loro. Comunque loro firmano, nel senso, ci Spencer in punta di piedi? Un po'. Sì.
3 or 4 people making all the decisions for the industry. It's about the industry feeling like they have hands on the steering wheel as well. So people who I interact with and have a real constructive perspective come be part of Team Xbox.
And on that note, too, I think for me personally, I love what Activision has been doing with Call of Duty Next. They just had one recently, too, a broadcast where they show off just tons of news and gameplay and bring their community into the fold. It's a pretty new broadcast for them. And I love that it is a presentation format, like there is news going into it, but at the same time, they invite over 200 creators and streamers.
I want to know how they do that.
It's wild. Everything is rigged with the ring lights and like their own connection to be able to stream directly into the presentation itself. So they're really welcoming the community into the broadcast, into the news. And to me, it tells me that they have a finger on the pulse in terms of their community, as well as modern ways of approaching broadcast. So obviously, since I'm responsible for what we call premier broadcast here at Xbox, that's something I'm personally really interested in and have been observing from afar. And now I get this opportunity where we are teams together and we can learn. So now that Activision Blizzard leadership is reporting to you, what does that mean and how do we come together to learn from each other?
Yeah, we're a big team, especially when we think about greater Microsoft, right? It can, for teams coming in, I think sometimes it can be overwhelming. I think maybe in the case of Bethesda, I think about that journey and some areas where I wanted us to go faster and maybe some areas where I wanted us to go slower. Bethesda was a little different just from our own history because it closed during a pandemic, which had its own set of issues in terms of us getting the teams together. My first goal is to identify the teams at ABK where we can create connection. One of the cool things about going to King is, as I think you mentioned, we have the Mojang studio there. There's already a lot of shared history between those two teams. Now they're all part of the same company. So I don't think we're going to be in the way of those teams making connections. When I think about the broadcasts that they do, I mean, BlizzCon's another thing that's coming up. How do we
Going,
learn
right?
from
We
that?
got to go to BlizzCon.
That, I've never been to a BlizzCon, so that would be fun. Maybe Michael invite me. We'll see. But for me, it's identifying the teams, making sure they're settled. Because you got to
Ma
think
dai,
about these are
ma
teams
senza
that have
dubbio
been
ci
under a
sarà su.
certain kind of
È
ownership
impossibile che
structure
non ci
for
sia.
40 years. And now all of a sudden they're part of Microsoft. They're part of Xbox. So showing up, being there in person. When I'm going to Stockholm, it's not
Sì,
just me. Our
Microsoft ha una
leadership team
quantità
is
di
going.
roba
I want
con
to be
questa
listening more than
una volta
talking.
fatta questa acquisizione,
And then
se li metti tutti
finding
uno
those
vicino all'altro, la
opportunities.
quantità
I'll
di
say
roba
my inbox is
spropositata, e
already
quindi
full
sì,
from
c'è
a
da
lot of
sperare che
people
li
at
gestiscano
Activision, Blizzard,
bene,
and King
perché
who
se
want to
no,
make those
santi Dio.
connections,
E
who
siccome in
want to
passato
both
non è
have a
sempre
voice
stato
in what we
così,
do, but also listen and from how we do things. So I think the opportunity is going to be there. It's going to be making the connections between our leaders and making sure we all go in with a learning mentality. Not that we know what's right, but let's listen and learn because they do a ton of things very, very well.
It's all about that dialogue. Now I want to take a look back to take a look forward.
Yeah.
So almost a decade ago, you got the job. I remember the video of you in Studio D with Larry. I don't know if you.
I know. Yeah.
I go back and watch it from time to time because it's really interesting to see how Xbox's vision and journey has changed.
un
And now
giovane
we're going
Phil.
to this new phase with Activision, Blizzard, King, Bethesda. What is getting you as excited as you were back then about where Xbox is going?
You know, it's funny. I think there were a lot of cartoons written from when Larry and I did that of me saying games. I think dropping some mic. I don't actually think I said that, but the sentiment was nice. I've always thought that having a strong creative organization was going to be critical to our path forward. I don't see how we build a platform
Sì, Bobby
without the
Kotick
voices of our creative leaders
in viaggio
right
per le
there,
Hawaii
and
con
here's
la
what
mega
they
buona
want
uscita,
out of a
The Real
platform.
Winner. Sì,
And when I think about now the breadth of
Contentissimo
just
che se ne sia andato.
players that we have, creators from Candy Crush to Hearthstone to Starfield, to Minecraft to State of Decay 3, right? You have like a breadth of creations that want to come out on our platform and other platforms. And what can we do to enable that? I am more excited about being here than I've ever been with the opportunity ahead. I mean, it's interesting. One of the members of our community who's awesome, his name's Klobril, and he's very good at building graphics. And he built that like 2017 to now. I kind of looked at it and I was almost daunted by the change. And people want to go on Twitter and find him. He's an awesome member of the Xbox community and creates great graphics.
Mica che shout out per
Klobril
Klobril.
Something that I thought was important from the beginning. Certain people would get upset that it wasn't going fast enough. Our first acquisition was Minecraft, and then we went through and went Double Fine and Undead and the list of a bunch of Playground, add Ninja. I'm gonna miss some, but like we added a bunch of teams, and then Bethesda, and now Activision, Blizzard, King. I'm just incredibly excited. I'd be remiss if I didn't say a little intimidated. I see a lot of people who claim I've been trained for this job. I think you all know that there's no training I go through, right? I'm always learning every day, both on the PR side and from the leadership side. So it's maybe when I thought about starting my career, I never thought this is where I would be. But when I talk to the teams and I hear from the individuals who want to be part of this and the opportunity that we have ahead of us, that's the part that just gets me up every morning, 5 o'clock this morning, ready to do this, ready to go to Stockholm today, ready to sit with teams. I love playing games. I love creating games, and what an amazing opportunity for us.
Phil, thank you so much for taking time, during what is probably the busiest time of your career or life.
At least I don't have a tie and I'm not in court, right? That's
But it was a good suit.
You like
Yeah,
it?
everybody
It was a
liked
good
it.
suit.
I saw
Good
it at
luck.
Spirit Halloween. You can be like someone walking behind with the coffee. That we're going to reenact that later on. So you got a 12-hour flight ahead of you, give or take, tonight. What are you going to be playing on the way?
So I have my ROG. I'm going to be playing some Starfield, of course. I'm really enjoying that. Speaking of Starfield, I know
We had
just
more big news. Yeah.
just this morning. It's good news. It's for a friend of mine who I've known for a long time, Pete Hines at Bethesda. Has decided he's going to start the next journey of his life. He's got a lot of things that he wants to go do. He's been such an incredible leader for us at Bethesda for so long, but also has earned this, right? He went through the acquisition. He went through building Bethesda, through the acquisition, helped us get through an amazing launch of Starfield. And I'm happy for him. I'm kind of proud of him that he's taking the opportunity to think about what's next. But he's announced his retirement's coming in November, I think is what he said. But it's nothing but great things to say about Pete and his contribution more than anything to this industry, to obviously Bethesda, to the Xbox in the time that we've worked together, and to me in just the feedback he's given me over the years, even before he was here, about things that he sees and opportunities. So nothing but great things to say about Pete. Congrats, my friend.
Cool. And so you'll be playing Starfield on the
yeah,
way.
sorry,
It's a
sorry.
long flight, you know?
Starfield Sea of Stars
Yes.
is a game I really like. Yeah.
That may end up on some Game of the
Ah,
Year.
quello devo
It
devo
should.
finirlo.
Sea of Stars,
Chissà quando avrò il
is
tempo, ragazzi.
fantastic. I've been playing Motorsport, Forza Motorsport. I'm probably, truth be told, more of a Motorsport player than a Horizon player. If you go back kind of over the history of it, I'm still working on Brotato. For people who have not played the Brotato, it's a great Steam game. People should go try it. It's awesome on my ROG. But you're right, I've got 12 hours.
Oddio,
In
quello non lo
Starfield, we've
conoscevo.
done a few
Brotato.
playthroughs before we launched. In this
Però sarà
playthrough,
tipo Vampire
I'm at the NASA facility on
Survivor.
Earth, so I'm feeling good. So we'll see. We'll see how much I get pulled back and forth. Another one, Liza P. Neo is the team did an amazing job. When you think about, hey, we're going to go in a genre that has such a high bar in terms of what people expect from combat, from feedback. I love the setting of kind of a gritty Pinocchio setting.
Yeah.
Great addition to Game Pass, but I'm not here to be an ad for Game Pass. But I am here to be an ad for Liza P, because it's an amazing team that did a great job on a game. So go play that. It's
E
loaded
come
on
non ad
my
per Game
ROG.
Pass,
I'm
dai.
This is a Liza P. Stan account
Yeah.
/ support.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
We've talked much about that
Yes.
game on
It's
this
Emphasis on the
podcast.
support because I definitely need it.
I'm dealing with this very angry, scary clown robot right now.
Yeah.
And if you've passed that, we'll have to exchange some tips, because right now I was up way too late last night.
And he's not
but
even one of the big bosses.
No.
Oh.
He's
Well,
like mid-tier.
he's got the long energy bar, so I count
Right.
that as a big boss.
That's
There you go.
Yes.
So you're past this point.
No, I haven't gotten there because I've been
Oh,
struggling
okay.
more than Jeff has. But that was my
Okay.
understanding, because people had called that one out in particular, that fight.
I've never been so both revolted and charmed by a game at the same time.
It's a
at
beautiful
least not in a
game.
long time. I love
There are
it.
Always
some
one.
amazing games out right now.
Yes.
So
Oh,
many.
a
You
lot.
know, and it's we're right on the cusp of Spider-Man 2
Yep.
coming out, which will be another amazing game. When I just think about the amount of, this year has been a special year in gaming.
Ok, allora, lo so che Phil Spencer fa così. Vuole sempre fare l'amicone dei giocatori, eccetera, è proprio un suo modo di fare che a sua volta è marketing. Però, porca troia, hanno appena fatto uno shout-out a uno dei più importanti giochi PlayStation della loro line-up in un podcast ufficiale di Xbox. Sul canale Xbox. Cioè, in questa industria una cosa del genere sarebbe stata impossibile anni fa. Cioè... Minchia. Vabbè, lascia il tempo che trova. Però, incula. Super Mario no. Ma perlomeno non ancora. Quello no. Però, sì, certo che è da interpretare. Interpretatela però come volete, ma c'è scritto Spider-Man 2 in un podcast Xbox,
From the beginning, I think there was a lot of pent up production.
Nel senso che è proprio un cambiamento della comunicazione, questo, che ormai c'è da un po'. Cioè, che non si fanno più troppi problemi a dire, oh sì, nel senso sta per uscire anche Spider-Man 2 ed è oggettivamente un gran gioco e stanno uscendo tanti giochi e tra i tanti giochi fighi che escono c'è anche quello, è oggettivo, quindi bene, nel senso io sono felice di questo cambiamento. Ovviamente è una nuova strategia comunicativa anche quella, sia chiaro. Però tra le varie strategie comunicative le preferisco.
And creative energy from stay at home, from COVID, and it's awesome. Now, what I hope is that people keep in their head, I don't have to play. I can play a game that didn't launch in the last 2 weeks. So you can go, if you miss a game right now, you can, in, I don't know, January, February, whenever, you can go back and revisit.
Termine tecnico, Paracool System, senza dubbio.
And there's just an amazing amount of great games
Però c'è.
right now. Baldur's Gate 3, another fantastic game that's out. It's so anyway, it's a fun time to be playing right now.
Backlog
It
is
is
stacked.
a very great
Oh
time
my goodness.
right now. I think any final thing.
Spencer dice che tutto è bello, probabilmente se facesse la domanda elogerebbe pure Gollum. No, direbbe che è un gioco che ha avuto assolutamente i suoi problemi e non è stato ben ricevuto e che il team dovrà imparare dai suoi errori e cose del genere. Spencer è bravo nel gestire queste cose dal punto di vista della comunicazione. Sì, esatto, il Paracool System è forte in lui, ma l'importante è il risultato finale. Quindi
Things you want to land, because we would be quite remiss if we made you late for your flight.
Yeah. It's these last, I guess for me, it's been 2 years. I guess publicly it's been, would you say 20 months or something like that?
Yeah.
I know it's been a journey for the teams internally. Definitely externally, I've seen it. But to the teams internally, I'll talk to them a little bit. I know that's not what the forum is for, but I have some members of the team here. Like the support, the conviction, the asking questions at the right time. I can see people biting their tongue.
Dire che Spider-Man è un gran gioco, essere oggettivo ci trovo nulla di strano. Infatti è così, ma non è una cosa che una volta vedevi all'interno di quelle che sono comunicazioni aziendali, perché questa è una comunicazione aziendale, di fatto.
It's been a long process, a learning process for me. It felt awesome to get through it on Friday. I spent the weekend just kind of reflecting on this and then get up this morning and say, let's go get it. But I know for you and people who are out there supporting Xbox, people who have a job to go do, that the kind of level of uncertainty and noise was different than maybe what we were used to or what we're supposed to be focused on. I'm glad that's behind us, and now what an amazing opportunity ahead. So let's go make it all real, make it matter.
Go team, go team.
We'll do the cheer at the end. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. All right, well, that is all the time that we have for today. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll, of course, be back here in the studio and probably on a Thursday, our regular day. And, we really, as Phil was saying, care what you think. So let us know in the comments, whether that's on YouTube, whether that's answering the questions that we usually put up there on Spotify, and even in the tweets out there. We do read them. We do greatly appreciate them. We're even formulating the show on the fly. So yes, you can find us on youtube.com/Xbox if you were listening today, or if you were watching, you can always take us with you in the car on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or Spotify, wherever finer podcasts are found.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to go. We're going to get you on your way. And we're going to go back to playing some games. So we will see you next time.
Ok. Beh, allora ragazzi, è stato interessante, devo dire. Ti assicuro che è bravo, devo gestire cose del genere, non si compete internazionali, il Paracool System usatissimo, poi dietro la schiena lame e coltelli. E qui non so se è così, veramente. Qui bisognerebbe starci dentro all'industria per capire se è veramente così oppure no. Non ho la pretesa di saperlo. Però dai, nel senso meglio così che le comunicazioni aziendali fredde vecchio stile, le aziende lontane e la console war idiota. Quindi meglio così. Recuperato col pass Gotham Knights, non credevo fosse così mediocre come gioco. Minchia, Gotham Knights. Ah no, aspetta, perché? Porca puttana, perché ho pensato ad Arkham Knights? Scusa. Completamente diverso? Sì, Gotham Knights è francamente stato un gioco che l'ho giocato 2 ore e ho passato una settimana a dire ok, devo fare la prossima puntata, mi sono fermato lì. Non avevo letteralmente una ragione per andare avanti. Gotham Knights è stato veramente una delusione, ragazzi. È uno di quei casi in cui ti chiedi ma come... Un gioco nato in una maniera proprio sbagliata, santi Dio. Per il ruolo di quel povero Cristo di colore che non ha mai parlato. È uno degli host del podcast. Ci sono quelli che parlano di più, quelli che parlano di meno. È sempre così. Un po' di cose le ha dette. Come è potuto succedere? Oh. I suoi metodi, Dotard, Trump, certo un democristiano di suo fare ha saputo gestirli. Più o meno. Sì. Immagino un Phil Spencer appena arriva a casa, finisce di sorridere, tira fuori la faccia, la mette in fronte tipo messo Miyagi, apre un armadio con un posto da tutta la lista di acquisizione da fare brandendo una katana. Sì. Esatto. Va bene. Ragazzi, che ne pensate di questo podcast? Io francamente vi dico, non bisogna mai scordarsi che questa è roba aziendale, ok? Nel senso è fatta come intrattenimento e come comunicazione. Quindi è una cosa a uso e consumo dell'azienda. Però queste cose che vedo da un po' di tempo, che sono a uso e consumo delle aziende comunque, devo dire che le trovo meglio di prima, perché perlomeno danno spazio all'esistenza di una community e non lesinano su tutti gli aspetti che effettivamente sono piuttosto comuni in qualsiasi community, come le critiche, come il pensare in maniera laterale, come il sapere che esistono dei competitor e degli altri giochi che comunque tu vuoi o non vuoi giocherai, no? E quindi devo dire che questo cambio di atteggiamento lo trovo... è come se ti togliessero di dosso una cappa, ok? È come se ti togliessero di dosso una sorta di peso e sapere che ci sono sempre queste nette divisioni assolute e totali. Quello che vi stavo dicendo prima, ragazzi, ovvero che che a un certo punto hanno cominciato a parlare di Spider-Man 2 e hanno mostrato un frammento di trailer a schermo di Spider-Man 2 con il titolo. Non è perché penso che sia una cosa incredibile e rivoluzionaria o guardate quanto vogliono bene i giocatori. No, anche quello è una comunicazione aziendale, ma resta il fatto che un po' di tempo fa era assolutamente impensabile vedere su canali ufficiali di un'azienda citato in maniera così esplicita uno dei più importanti giochi di un diretto concorrente, specie nel periodo di uscita. Perché lo fai a distanza di tempo, magari ne stai parlando come analisi del mondo videoludico. No, questo è un gioco mega corrente che esce tra poche ore. Quindi è, onestamente, interessato quanto vi pare, ma non è roba da poco questa qui rispetto al passato. È interessante, no? E quindi... Microsoft gli manca per essere un po' più competitivo, o Ubisoft o Capcom? No, guarda. Con tutti gli studi che ha adesso, con tutti i franchise che ha, se non è competitiva adesso, il problema non sono i giochi o gli studi. Per lo noioso un po' di cose si poteva intuire, giusto la conferma ufficiale. Alcune cose sì, però l'ho trovato comunque bello perché, sai, quando parla Phil Spencer dopo un'acquisizione del genere... ha detto delle cose che sì, in buona parte le potevamo intuire, però ha detto anche alcune cose che ci danno una prospettiva interessante riguardo all'immediato futuro. Una su tutte, che non dobbiamo aspettarci giochi Activision Blizzard su Game Pass prima del 2024. Quindi, se non altro, questa informazione direi che è diretta.